Law 24 of the 48 Laws of Power is this. Play the perfect courtier. At first glance, this sounds outdated. Courtier, royal courts, velvet robes and candlelit palaces. What does that have to do with modern life? Everything, because the court never disappeared. It evolved. Today, the court is the executive floor. It's the boardroom. It's media circles. It's politics. It's elite sport environments. It's your company leadership team. It's any structure where hierarchy exists and perception determines influence. If there is status, there is a court. And most people enter the court completely untrained. They rely on competence alone. They assume results will speak for themselves. They believe authenticity means saying exactly what they think, exactly when they think it. Then they hit invisible ceilings. Because power is never purely rational. It is emotional, it is perceptual, it is ego-sensitive. The perfect courtier understands this. Historically, royal courts were lethal arenas. A misplaced joke could end a career. An ill-timed criticism could mean exile. Advancement required more than talent. It required social precision. Consider the court of Louis XIV at Versailles. Louis understood that controlling nobles required more than force. He created elaborate rituals of access and proximity. Nobles competed for the honor of assisting him in trivial ceremonies. Why? Because status proximity equals power. The court became a theater of controlled ambition. To survive and rise there, you needed to master nuance. You needed to read moods instantly. You needed to elevate the king's image constantly. You needed to disguise your own hunger. Raw brilliance without calibration was dangerous. Now fast forward to modern corporations. Replace the throne with a CEO chair. Replace nobles with senior executives. Replace ceremonies with meetings and strategy offsites. The psychology remains identical. The perfect courtier begins with self-mastery. Emotional control is foundational. Volatility signals unpredictability. Predictability makes powerful people comfortable. If you are easily offended, easily reactive, easily frustrated, you become a liability in high-trust circles. Composure creates gravity. Second, the courtier understands ego economics. Every powerful individual has an ego boundary. If you cross it, even unintentionally, they will defend it. If you reinforce it, they relax. This does not mean groveling. It means strategic amplification. When you present an idea, frame it as building on leadership vision. When success occurs, share credit upward. When correction is needed, deliver it privately and respectfully. Public correction triggers defensive instinct. Many ambitious professionals sabotage themselves here. They display intelligence aggressively. They interrupt. They over-explain. They subtly signal superiority. They believe dominance earns respect. In hierarchical systems, dominance without protection earns enemies. Look at Charles Maurice de Talleyrand. Talleyrand survived the French monarchy, the Revolution, Napoleon's empire, and the Bourbon Restoration. Different regimes, different ideologies, same survivor. Why? Because he mastered adaptation. He was indispensable, yet rarely threatening. Influential, yet rarely flamboyant. He understood that longevity in power structures depends on subtlety, not noise. The perfect courtier makes others feel intelligent. This is an underrated skill. When someone feels smart in your presence, they associate you with status enhancement. When they feel exposed or diminished, they associate you with threat. The courtier asks calibrated questions. They guide rather than lecture. They allow superiors to articulate insights you may have already seen. The outcome is influence without friction. Consider Benjamin Franklin during his diplomatic mission to France. He did not arrive as a rigid ideologue. He studied French culture. He dressed simply but symbolically. He flattered strategically. He understood that persuasion required emotional alignment, not just logical argument. His effectiveness was not accidental. It was socially engineered. Modern high performers often underestimate this dimension. They optimize for correctness. They ignore likability. They prioritize clarity but neglect tone. In competitive hierarchies, tone is not cosmetic. It is strategic. Another dimension of Law 24 is timing. Timing determines whether truth empowers or destroys. Speak too early and you appear presumptuous. Speak too late and you appear irrelevant. Disagree publicly and you risk humiliation battles. Disagree privately and you build trust capital. The courtier reads the room before speaking. They assess who holds informal influence. In every organization, there is formal authority and there is shadow authority. The latter often matters more. If you misread the true center of gravity, you miscalculate risk. The courtier also avoids factional entrapment. Courts naturally divide into camps. Align too aggressively with one faction and your fate ties to theirs. The perfect courtier maintains cordial relationships across boundaries. Not duplicity, flexibility. This creates resilience during political shifts. Presentation matters as well. In courts, aesthetics signal allegiance and respect. In modern environments, this translates to communication discipline. Clear writing, controlled speech, appropriate dress, measured posture. These details may seem superficial, but they accumulate into perception. Sloppiness suggests disregard. Excess flamboyance suggests insecurity. Quiet precision signals confidence. Another key principle, manage envy proactively. Envy is one of the most destructive forces in hierarchical systems. It is rarely expressed directly, it manifests subtly. Block promotions, withheld information, quiet resistance. The courtier neutralizes envy by distributing praise generously, elevating peers publicly, and framing wins as collective achievements. They become associated with shared success rather than personal conquest. This is not weakness, it is insulation. There is also a defensive intelligence embedded in this law. The more visible your ambition, the more scrutiny you attract. The courtier disguises ambition as service. They let others advocate for them. They build reputation indirectly. Many careers stall, not because of incompetence, but because ambition was displayed too bluntly. Now here is the critical distinction. Playing the perfect courtier does not mean abandoning integrity. It means understanding the environment you operate in. If you are inside institutions, financial organizations, corporate structures, government agencies, you are in a court whether you acknowledge it or not. Ignoring politics does not eliminate politics, it just removes your leverage within it. Law 24 also complements Law 1. Never outshine the master. The courtier understands that upward visibility must be calibrated. Make your superior look good and they protect you. Make them look ordinary and they suppress you. Ambitious individuals often crave recognition immediately. The courtier plays a longer game. Influence compounds quietly before it becomes visible. There is also a psychological maturity required here. You must separate ego from strategy. You may know you are correct. You may know your analysis is sharper. But winning the argument is not always winning the game. Power is rarely about proving intelligence. It is about positioning influence. Observe leaders who rise steadily. They are rarely the loudest, rarely the most combative. They are controlled, they are deliberate. They rarely embarrass others. They understand that alliances determine elevation. In competitive sport environments, this dynamic appears as well. The athlete who constantly undermines coaches publicly rarely lasts. The one who communicates assertively but respectfully builds longevity. The courtier studies personalities relentlessly. Who is driven by legacy? Who is driven by security? Who fears irrelevance? Who values loyalty above innovation? Messaging adapts accordingly. You do not change your principles, you change your packaging. Packaging determines reception. If Law 23 is about concentrating force, Law 24 is about ensuring that force does not trigger defensive systems prematurely. One is about power generation. The other is about power navigation. Together they create strategic dominance. To apply this law practically, begin with observation. Spend 2 weeks analyzing the power map around you. Identify formal and informal leaders. Notice who influences decisions beyond title. Notice whose opinion shifts outcomes. Next, refine self-control. Remove visible impulsiveness. Slow your speech slightly in high-stakes settings. Listen fully before responding. Replace public correction with private dialogue. Then consciously elevate others. In meetings, attribute insights upward. Reinforce collective framing. Build a reputation for amplifying rather than overshadowing. Finally, disguise ambition in contribution. Let performance speak through allies. Let others advocate your value. Over time, you become insulated. Trusted, protected. That is the ultimate aim of the courtier. Proximity to power without becoming a target. In any hierarchy, there are two types of talented people, those who rise and those who stall. The difference is rarely IQ. It is political fluency. Some will reject this law out of pride. They will claim purity. They will insist that skill should be enough. Skill opens doors. Political intelligence keeps them open. Play the perfect courtier, not to submit, not to deceive, but to move freely within structures that would otherwise constrain you. Because in every modern court, corporate, political, social, those who master perception outlast those who rely solely on talent. That is Law 24.